I think we're both dead. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and welcome to the martial arts of Game of Thrones. I'm Ken Munshine. I am the historical martial arts instructor, or one of them at least, at the Higgins Army Museum in Worcester. And what we're here to show you today is some of the real-world historical martial arts behind George R.R. Martin's rather lucrative franchise. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here so much to praise George R.R. Martin as I have come to bury him. Because there's a lot in Game of Thrones that is accurate, that is inspired by the real martial arts of the Middle Ages and Renaissance, which we study at the Higgins Armory Museum, and as much, of course, that's fantasy. For instance, the longsword, or, I'm sorry, I should say the two-handed sword. There are a lot of two-handed swords in Westeros. Ice, the family sword of the Stark family, is clearly some sort of great sword, needing two hands to use. Likewise, various other two-handed swords make their appearance. The real Renaissance two-handed sword was actually a fairly agile weapon. This weighs about as much and is about as long, fortunately to me, as a real Renaissance spadoni, and you can see that Dan and I could use them pretty efficiently. Now, foremost amongst the knightly weapons in Westeros, though, is the longsword. So, if you come on out, guys, and I'm going to show you some longsword fencing. So, get one pair there, stagger a bit, grab someone to hit. Good, you got enough room? Good. Make sure you're far away from the longsword. As George R.R. Martin, get a little bit closer over there. Ready? Got room? And go. And ready? Fence. So the longsword is often an agile weapon. Jeff, Paul, move over. And Robert. When George R.R. Martin talks about the longsword, the way George R.R. Martin describes it, may be used in one or two hands, just like actual knightly longsword. As you can tell, it's a cutting and thrusting weapon. These are based on 16th and 17th century German practice weapons. You can tell that there's still using this, and there's living traditions of this. And this, of course, is something that we see in our classes. these are, what we use as our practice weapons, these are again based on 16th, 17th century German practice weapons. You can see they're flexible. They have blunted edges. We've taped the blades for safety. They're fairly inexpensive. And the way we teach these is based, of course, on the written materials that survive from the way that men fought and died, both in war, in the duel, but also the way they fenced for sport and for fun. So the way Martin describes them is actually fairly accurate as things go. Because he does talk about being able to do sophisticated swordplay. He doesn't quite subscribe to the old-fashioned myth of the ponderous knight who uses strength over skill. As you can tell, this is a fairly light, agile weapon. Of course, of course, if you want to talk about lightness and agility, in Westeros, perhaps foremost, you think of the Bravosi water dancers, who Martin clearly bases on Renaissance bravos, right? On the braves, as it were, which began in Venice. And Bravos is clearly based, of course, on Venice, another seagoing city where people walk around in fancy clothes and get into duels. Of course, the rapier is a civilian weapon. The longsword, developed from the knightly arm, equally well suited for use on horseback, in a civilian context, on foot. This is a very specialized weapon for one purpose, to kill a man out of armor. And of course, it's thanks to that in the 16th century that the science of fencing as we know it today began to develop. Now, probably what Martin had in mind was the Spanish school of destreza, which is described very much in ways very much like dance steps, to be able to gain the angle on your adversary and then dispatch him. What we teach is more of the Italian school of rapier, which we're now going to demonstrate for you, which is also, of course, used sometimes in conjunction with the dagger as a secondary side. So, here to suit up before now. Do we remember people? Cool. We have 3 pairs. Excellent. So let me get out of your way. Maybe over the left and over the back. Light one-handed thrusting weapon can be used with or without dagger. Gaining time, gain distance on your opponent. Robin? Yeah, go a little bit closer to Sandy. There you go. You can see Jeff attack, Robin getting counterattack, moving offline, getting out of the way. There he tries to take sword with his dagger. Parries. A lot of hitting. That was sort of double kill. There's Sandy, was able to touch grappling as she grabs Steve's sword, knocked him in the head with her color. Perfectly allowable in this weapon form. And one more pass, everyone. illustrations. I'd rather let the fencing speak for itself. But you can see, agility is important. That's a good sense of timing, a good sense of line. All of these are important. You can see how Martin sort of abstracted the whole verbosity water style from the realities of Renaissance fencing. Of course, not everything is really so formal in the world of Westeros. And of course, it's a very dangerous place. Characters get killed at all times and all fashions for no particular reason, quite violently and nationally. And of course, just as this, in the Renaissance, in the Middle Ages, a gentleman had to be prepared for unforeseen attack. Rob, you see that, right? Oh, who's dagger? Okay, so a gentleman had to be prepared to defend himself. We practiced these arts of self-defense too at the Higgins, because of course the people of the knights, the fighters in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance left us treatises not just on how to use the various swords and the various weapons, but also grappling and self-defense. It was really an all-inclusive martial art, really the first mixed martial art. You have to be able to defend yourself if you're at a disadvantage, if someone's disarmed. If you have to be able to defend yourself, if you have unequal weapons, you have to be able to defend yourself in war, in ambush, anything. So one game we played to simulate this, Dan can step out for a moment. This is Dan Rossetti. Dan, as you may notice, is not holding any weapons. Dan gets to be in the cookie jar. We play something called the movie ninja game. If you've ever watched movies, the ninjas always attack one by one. And of course, this isn't realistic for being attacked by a gang of people, but it does make you react quickly to changing circumstances and attacks at different angles and different circumstances. So, can I please have the ninjas come on out? Very nice. So we have quite a number of ninjas here. They're white ninjas. Good, so spread out. Get a little closer, get a little about. Okay, and one at a time, they're going to take turns killing Dan. And then if someone gets to stab Dan, well, then they get to be in the middle. It's a fun game. Ready? Start. Yeah, that's enough.
Hey, that's a fair stab.
One at a time.
That's a fair stab.
What's a fair step? One at a time. Okay, now Robin is former special forces, so he has a unique take on this.
You're not rushing in to go after Robin.
Wait for the crowd. Watch out for the crowd. Move that way. Move that way.
Non ho penso. Stava fermo.
Jeff, wait for the crowd. Okay, now Sandy is smallest, but she's also the most vicious. She's kind of like a Wolverine.